Hello my friends, today I am in another city, but I still want to make a video for you, and I did. But turns out this room here has horrible sound and I was forced to film with my iPhone. So I apologize for the quality of today's video, but I worked hard to still get you the updates that you deserve. And the next video will be with a lot better quality. Thank you for watching the video, and here we go. Hello my friends and welcome back. It's Monday. Happy Monday to you. You and I were going to make it this week. We're going to survive. You know who didn't survive? Yesterday, 1,710 Russian soldiers. Here you can see the Russian soldiers' losses chart according to Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. And yesterday was one of the highest single day of Russian losses throughout this entire war. 1,710 soldiers missing, killed or injured. This is all of that combined. 24 tanks and 64 infantry fighting vehicles knocked out cold. I mean 64 infantry fighting vehicles. If you imagine that amount of metal, dumb iron in front of you in a field, it's massive, absolutely massive. And it's not only numbers on a screen. We do have proof. We have drone videos of different frontal areas where Russians conducted large-scale offensive operations, which is a big surprise for me because, yes, Rasputitsa, the rain and mud season is here. I don't know why they did it, but hey, don't ask me. The Russians, they do it like that. 24 artillery systems, and the rest you can see on the screen yourself. All in all, so it was the 20th of October, the last 24 hours. This was one of the most losses-heavy day for the Russian armed forces of this war. Wow. But that's not it, my friends. This is the top shop moment when I say, but wait, there's more, because there is more. Last night, the Sverdlov ammunition plant in Dzerzhinsk, Nizhny Novgorod region, Russia, was attacked by UAVs. And you can see the coordinates right on the screen if you want to do some digging. People on the ground report that 14 UAVs were in the vicinity, with 7 hitting the plant. So people in the local areas, according to them, about 7 were shot down and 7 of them connected to the target. Footages show rather large explosion coming directly from the facility. The results of the strikes remain yet to be seen. The thing is, in the Russian Ministry of Defense, this hit on the ammunition depot, or any hit on any oil or ammunition depot, is a defensive move. They think they are destroying Ukrainian drones and missiles with their buildings. Because you see one, it's genius. You take ammunition depot, you take oil depot, you hit Ukrainian drone with oil depot. You destroy Ukrainian drone. Genius. Молодец, Ivan. The Sverdlov plant is an industrial behemoth. It's 16 square kilometers, 6 square miles in the size, comprises of the production facility and extensive storage area. So this was not only an ammunition depot, but an ammunition production facility, a factory, all combined into one. It is one of the biggest ammunition warehouses, factories, everything combined areas. It is located more than 760 kilometers or 480 miles from the Ukrainian border. Next to the Dzerzhinsky, damn what a name, which by the way is one of the dirtiest Russian cities, is the 53rd Grau Arsenal. This is the target-rich environment. I love the fact it's one of the dirtiest Russian cities. In this video later, we're gonna go and look at some of the sites of Russian cities. And I kid you not, you cannot be ready for this. You have not seen anything like it. My friends, I want to introduce you to Ground News, the #1 news comparison site in the world. Today we're going to take a look at this piece of news. Zelensky will present his Ukraine victory plan to Western leaders, but Biden meeting is postponed. What do we see on the Ground News page of this specific article? We see the coverage details on the right, 82nd different sources, which means there's plenty of sources to go around. Bias distribution is 43% center, and you can see it visualized right here on the chart. 34% left-leaning and 23% right-leaning.
If you wish to read, for example, more centrist news to be more balanced, you need tools like Ground News to recognize which articles and which titles are leaning left or right. We have the factuality, of course. 60% of the sources are high factuality, 37% are mixed factuality. Anything below high factuality, I wouldn't even read. Of course, there's the ownership chart right here to tell who is owning the news platform, aka what might be their agenda. Here we can see all of the sources, and when I scroll down, I see different news outlets using different titles and where are they leaning, right or left. With the wording in the titles, I can already compare what titles, for example, the left side uses and what title the right side uses, because the wording already makes a big difference. I can also go and click For You tab, because Ground News actually has my own personalized interests tab here, and there's Ukraine and Ukraine war. I click on Ukraine war, seeing all of the news only talking about this specific topic, so I don't waste my time finding what I want to read. Compare news coverage, spot media bias, avoid algorithms. Try Ground News today and get 40% off your subscription by going to ground.news/Artur. Thank you, Ground News, for sponsoring today's video.
Now, my friends, let's talk about the second biggest topic of this war. North Korean soldiers, to be specific, 12,000 of them have been confirmed to be in Russia in the training areas, and a majority of those 12,000 supposedly are North Korean elite special forces. But I mean, if you say North Korean and elite forces at the same sentence, it's always a little bit weird, because by official North Korean statistics, they're supposed to have a few 100,000 special forces. And if you have so many special forces, I mean, how special can they be? You can only have a very tiny amount and then they're well trained. But if you have like hundreds of thousands, it's just a name. Anyway, South Korean intelligence has identified a missile engineer from North Korea who is helping the Russian armed forces strike Ukraine with North Korean KN-23 ballistic missiles. Look at this dude. Is him. Has been in 2 photos with Kim Jong-un himself. And now he's in Russia, wreaking havoc for Russia in Ukraine, doing some war crimes. Regular Tuesday for him. But Ukraine has already prepared a surprise for these 12,000 North Korean special elite forces, because their base, their training ground and barracks in Oryol was hit yesterday by a Ukrainian drone. Look at this. Bada boom! Gaboom, gaboom! You see, Ivan, you take 12,000 North Korean soldiers and you hit Ukrainian missile with them. This way, you demilitarize Ukrainian missile. You destroy Ukrainian ammunition. Genius, Ivan. We don't know how many got injured. We don't know how many got unalived. But Ukraine is already welcoming North Korean soldiers into Russia and later into Ukraine with explosive good attitudes. And this meme was just too perfect. I could not include it. I mean, all of you have seen Lord of the Rings. North Korean troops, when they stumble upon the bodies of their fallen Russian comrades, looks like meat is back on the menu, boys. This is just so good. I can't. I mean, we all know North Korea is struggling to actually feed their population, because they have millions of people and they don't make enough food in the country to feed all of their people. So China exports a lot of food to North Korea. Without China, they would starve. That's how simple it is. So these soldiers being sent to Ukraine or to Russia, to any area other than North Korea, in this case, they will find these Russian decaying, formerly alive soldiers. I mean, they will find these good Russians on the ground. And for them, meat is back on the menu. If you don't like this dark humor, what can I do? That's what I do on this channel. So, and now I want to bring you serious. We're going back to serious. I want to bring you a serious analysis of what is the outcome of North Korean troops now being officially confirmed in Russia and later in Ukraine. There will be outcomes, and not only from the West, because the West has been quite sleepy with this topic, but from South Korea. South Korea, one of the world's strongest, most advanced weapons producers and weapons exporters. I'll read you a thread by Tendar. While the North Korean intervention in Russia's war against Ukraine exposed once again Western appeasement, it overshadowed something much more important. The Republic of Korea, South Korea, is a military and technological powerhouse. Seoul always observes what the hostile neighbor in the north does, and unlike the West, South Korea is, for obvious reasons, fully devoted in its Cold War thinking process. Now, the Cold War here is Cold War because for South and North Korea, the Cold War never ended. They have always weaponized, they've always prepared for war. In 1991, when the Soviet Union collapsed, in South Korea, almost nothing changed because North Korea has always been there for them to ensure that they keep their armies in maximum capabilities. And nowadays, nobody wants South Korea as their enemy because they are a military powerhouse, and Russia has just done so. What that means can be summarized quite easily. Whatever North Korea does, it will be countered with Seoul Korean gambit. Seoul fully understands that a Russian win in Ukraine would mean a North Korean win. This won't be accepted in Seoul. By the way, if I'm saying that wrong, Seoul, I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce the capital of South Korea. I'm saying Seoul. And unlike many other countries, South Korea has the means to do so. The list of potential weapons which can be used to help Ukraine is longer than Putin's table. Got him! From artillery shells and systems, or over air defense assets and MLRS, up to equipment for electronic warfare, everything what is needed for the war in Ukraine can be procured and especially produced in serial production in South Korea. Several countries such as Poland, Norway, Finland, Indonesia, and more are lining up to get their hands on South Korean hardware, such as the K9 Thunder. K9 Thunder, by the way, being one of the best self-propelled howitzer guns in the world right now, and Estonia has them. We bought them before they were, okay, I hate to say it, but we bought it before it was cool, because we bought it before the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, because it was already back then one of the best self-propelled howitzer guns, cost effectiveness. You got what you paid for and more. So we have them, and everybody wants them because they are extremely good. And thanks to the fact that South Korea never left the Cold War, it maintained an industry which is capable of serial production while keeping up technological edge. This enables South Korea to offer advanced military hardware for a lower price. This is one of the most important things in producing anything in the world, but especially weaponry. Weaponry is expensive because it doesn't bring you anything back. I mean, you don't get your investment back. So the cheaper you can make a weapon while still making an effective weapon, that's the key to weapons production. And the key to that is mass production, ability to mass produce, the logistical chain. South Korea never dismantled their military industrial complex because they always had an enemy right across the border. The enemy never went away. For the West it did when the Soviet Union collapsed. And they didn't dismantle, but they just neglected their military industrial complex. Well, South Korea is armed to the teeth. As mentioned in my post yesterday, Putin is a tactician, but a lousy strategist. His alliance with North Korea comes out of the desperation. Almost half of all fired Russian artillery shells are originally from North Korea, and their quality is abysmal. By the way, what does it mean the quality is abysmal? Well, first of all, they explode in the barrels, injuring or killing the crew around the gun. Second of all, they're dots. They don't explode on connection with the ground or with the target. They just fall there and become a very dangerous unexploded ordnance. Third of all, they miss the targets because they're not so precisely made, so they miss by a huge margin. So you can destroy something by destroying an area around it, but you cannot pinpoint attack anything with North Korean shells. Those 3 points already render millions of shells from North Korea very dangerous, even for Russian crews. For North Korea, this alliance is much more beneficial, but it comes for a huge price for both. South Korea will certainly not sit idle and will move against this unholy alliance. This means that Ukraine and South Korea will get closer. The war in Ukraine offers South Korea's military industry. The war in Ukraine offers South Korean military industry an unique opportunity to test their weapon systems, which already are considered one of the best in the world. So watch this space for what is about to come, and soon. Yeah, it is one of the best short summaries of what North Korean Russian alliance will bring. The West has been surprisingly sleepy to react to this, but South Korea, while they have not reacted yet strongly, they have every incentive to react extremely strongly by sending weapons, money, political, financial, every kind of support to Ukraine, because Ukrainian victory from now on is a South Korean victory. As I said, this is not one war in Ukraine, it is one war, three conflicts. One in Russia, Ukraine, one in Israel and everything else around in the Middle East, and one in China, Taiwan, which connects into South Korea and North Korea. I see this as one war, and now South Korea and Ukrainian destinies are linked. Now, my friends, I just wanna, this is just the video, but it looks so damn cool. This is a Ukrainian Mi-24 Hind, and it's hunting for Russian Shahed drones, and it finds one. Boom! Did you hear it? It's like the A-10 Warthog, only this one is an Mi-24. 2 short bursts from its cannon, and the Shahed goes, actually after the first burst already, it went up in flames. This is pretty. I just like these kind of videos and I want to share them with you. Nothing else, I'm not going to even give any context to it. Just a Ukrainian chopper shooting down a Shahed drone. Well, actually, alright, let's give some context. These are Shahed drones flying over a settlement. Civilian films them. As you can see, there are like over 10 of them. Russia sends out tens, sometimes over 100 Shahed drones per day right now. Why? Yes, it is connected with the timing of the year. It is fall. Fall means that winter is very close. Winter means that you need to heat the homes all over Ukraine. And that means attacking Ukrainian electrical and water infrastructure hurts Ukrainians more. So Russia has ramped up their missile and Shahed drones attacks against Ukrainian electrical infrastructure just to demolish as much as possible before the winter colds set in. Now, Ukrainians know where most of the Shahed drones are launched from Russia, but unfortunately they are not allowed to attack these locations with Western weaponry. They have the Western weaponry to do so, but they're not allowed to use it in that sense. That is the restrictive policies from Germany and the United States and some other countries that don't like to escalate. I don't understand it, I don't agree with it. I think Ukraine should attack any target that is connected to war crimes in Ukraine committed by the Russians. And launching sites of Shahed factories, full target, destroy it, make it into a parking lot. Talking about Shaheds, Ukrainians have once again released a new technology. I guess Russians or anybody in the West could do it, but Ukrainians have the incentive because their country is suffering under the onslaught of these hundreds of Iranian drones per day. They need to develop this fast. What am I talking about? Well, the new Ukrainian FPV interceptor. Usually interceptors are missiles, rockets that will catch whatever is flying at them, but this is an FPV interceptor, meaning it's an interceptor drone with a pilot with glasses, drone glasses, hunting for Shaheds. Ukraine is developing the Sting drone interceptor, which can fly at speeds over 160 kilometers per hour, which is like almost 100 miles per hour, and at altitudes up to 3 kilometers. The operator will control it through VR glasses, and in the future they plan to add an artificial intelligence system for automatic targeting. This thing will cost 10 times less than the Shahed drone. That is the thing again. With any military capability, the cost effectiveness is one of the most important things. I'm sorry about my English here. Cost effectiveness. If the weapon is not mass producible and cost effective, there's no point in making it almost. So yeah, 10 times less than the Shahed, that's a victory already. You just need to produce more and they need to be able to take down the target. Now, my friends, I mentioned when we started with the losses chart of the Russians, I mentioned there are many videos. Yes, there are, and I don't even try to show most of them to you because I couldn't, because it's YouTube, I cannot show this stuff. But I watched them all because I want to see the proof that these losses are real. And I chose one specific battle to still analyze. I don't really analyze battles anymore because they will get demonetized on my channel for some reason. But I want to do it today because the losses were so damn high that I feel like I need to talk about like at least one battle that was the result of these high losses. The occupiers tried to capture the crossing over the Iskil River in the Kupyansk direction. The defense forces prevented it. And now I quote, "The rush of armored vehicles with infantry in the direction was repulsed by the joint efforts of the Achilles Unmanned Aerial Vehicle Battalion, together with the guardsmen of the Burevi Brigade and the border guards of the Pomsta Brigade, as well as the paratroopers of the 77th Brigade. In total, 8 BMPs and 3 tanks were destroyed. Damaged were 6 BMPs. 21 occupiers were eliminated or unalived or knocked out cold, and 26 more were wounded. And this is just only one tiny frontal area. Russians have about 3 main offensive axes right now when they're sending daily BMPs and tanks. This was only one. There are others also. I'm not going to analyze them. You have other channels for that, I know, who do it a lot better than I do. This is just here to bring you some context of the massive losses that happened yesterday. The Ukrainian military captured one of the most famous Luhansk separatists. It is Herman Prokopiev, an active participant in the pro-Russian riots of 2014. He was the one who removed the Ukrainian flags from the administrative buildings of Luhansk. He represented the combat wing of the Luhansk Guard and took part in the seizure of Luhansk region state administration, as well as the repeatedly threatened Luhansk Euromaidan activists. After 2015 and the disbandment of the Luhansk Guard, Prokopiev disappeared from the media. However, this did not prevent his identification after the capture in 2024. He immediately spoke Ukrainian. Why I include this is all of this happened 10 years ago, 2014, Euromaidan Revolution, the Orange Revolution. Well, these guys will be brought to justice. This guy now is in Ukrainian prison, will be brought to justice. In 10 years, in 20 years, even if it takes that long, I remember after Second World War what Mossad did to the hiding Nazi scientists or masterminds of the entire system. One by one, even 20 years later, they hunted them down. Well, the same will happen to Russians. They have nowhere to hide anywhere in the world. And to hammer that point in, it has already started. To hammer that point in, what a pun, to give you a hint what's coming. Dmitry Golyankov is another guy now, Chief of Staff of Russian Aviation Squadron, based at the Shaikovka airfield and armed with Tu-22M3 bombers, has been unalived, knocked out cold. Golyankov was involved in the strike on the Amster shopping center in Kremenchuk in 2022, where 1,000 people were at the time of the attack and 22 people were victims. He was also responsible for the attack on an apartment building in Dnipro in 2023, where 46 people were victims, among 6 children. The body of this war criminal was found with numerous head injuries, probably from a hammer. So, to hammer in this point even more, that Russian war criminals will have nowhere to run in Russia or outside of Russia, Ukrainian GUR operators will hunt them down, and it has already started. Much like Mossad did in the next 20-30 years after the Second World War, it didn't matter that 2 generations passed. They still hunted down even 80-year-old Third Reich war criminals. Well, the same will happen to the Russians. They have sealed their fate by being part of this invasion, by having the collective responsibility of the leader that they did not oppose. And now, my friends, to hammer in for the third video, the same point, but it's so damn important, Rasputica is here. This means modern rain. Ukraine is mostly made up of very fertile fields. It's an agricultural powerhouse, but it means 2 times a year when it rains more than usual, which is autumn and fall, everything will turn into a mud pit. And this is a light video, I mean, there's not that much mud, but usually everything will get stuck. Whatever you make in the west or in the east, it will get stuck in that mud. Look how it's drifting. It's almost impossible to drive fast speed, you gotta be very slow to drive. And this means large-scale offensive operations are almost impossible. Ukraine definitely will not conduct them, but Russia, for some reason, is conducting them, especially yesterday, and it immediately translates into massive losses because this rain and mud season benefits the defender because the defender has to move less. The offender has to move more, and movement is paralyzed thanks to the mud, making Russian troops in the middle of the field sitting ducks. Now, my friends, I want to read you a thread of how the Ukrainian country and military and the entire sociological system is holding up. People look at minor changes on the battlefield sometimes, maybe 50 meters, maybe 100, maybe 5 kilometers even. The Russians have advanced at some areas in the last 2-3 months. These are micro changes. Let's zoom out, let's look at the macro level. After 3 years almost, when a nuclear power and at that time supposedly the second army in the world invaded Ukraine, it was supposed to be a 3-day operation. It was supposed to be a steamroll operation. Well, almost 3 years later, as I wrote in the summer, this fall and winter will be very difficult. Yes, things are constantly bad. But the key word here is not bad, but constantly. We have not been defeated. Our allies have not abandoned us. The front line has not been broken through. Our military industry continues to work and develop. The enemy has not captured a single regional center. This is one of the main points. Yes, they have captured cities like Mariupol, Luhansk, Donetsk in 2014-15. But after the full-scale invasion, Russian army has not captured any regional centers, regional capitals, oblast capitals, none. Logistics is functioning, air defense cities. The military command maintains control, the parliament is working, volunteers are working, taxes are being paid, Russian oil and weapons depots are burning, wheat is being harvested and bread is being baked daily. Wheat is being harvested. I want to connect to that also, that the Black Sea that is supposed to be under Russian Black Sea fleet is now almost fully under Ukrainian drones, and Ukrainian grain ships go in and out of the ports almost unopposed, which means on the Black Sea, people don't talk about it much, but it's a massive Ukrainian victory because the largest fleet of the Black Sea was the Russian Black Sea fleet. Ukraine doesn't have a navy almost on the Black Sea, and they are the ones imposing the rules, exporting their grain, making billions from the revenue, which they need badly right now. It's a massive loss for the Russians. And people look at these 1 or 2 kilometers that the Russian army advances on the front, and they don't look at what I just read, that the Ukrainian state is functioning effectively under 3 years of war. And when people, do you think Ukraine is winning? No. Do I think Russia is winning? Definitely no. Ukrainian state is functioning. Russia has not been able, with their entire manpower and oil billions, they have not been able to destroy Ukrainian state and its effectiveness. Whose victory is that? Trolley buses are running, and the 3rd year of the Great War is underway. Russians are now doing everything they can to make Ukrainian society collapse. Russia is continuing on swaying public opinions, number one, in the West, to convince the West to stop supporting Ukraine. And I hate to see this, but Russian propaganda machine is one of their most effective weapons. Their missiles don't work that good, their artillery shells don't work that good, there just have many of them. But their propaganda, unfortunately, is effective in the West. Number two, in Ukraine, to try to convince Ukrainians to stop fighting for their independence, believing that the West has abandoned Ukraine. If you're watching from Ukraine, we have not abandoned you. Please don't abandon us. We need each other. Naturally, Russia is trying to use its entire propaganda machine, which it has built all over the world, spending huge amounts of money to achieve these goals. Everyone in Ukraine understands that for us, defeat means not peace under Russian influence, but Bucha and Mariupol all over the country. Gulags and prisons where Ukrainians will die of torture and starvation. Putin does not need Ukrainians. He wants a total genocide. You remember, my friends, after the full-scale invasion, there became a new national sport in Russia, which is falling out of the window. Who could do it higher? Who could do it better? Russian oligarchs were lining up one by one to get the prize of who could fall out of the window from a higher building and better, more style points. Where now we have a new contestant. The Russian oligarch and former vice president of the oil giant Yukos, Mikhail Rogashev, mysteriously died yesterday after falling out of a window of his 11th floor apartment in Moscow. Hey, if I was a corrupt Russian oligarch or ex-oligarch living in Moscow in a high-rise building, I'd sell my high-rise and boom, I move into this building. Look at that. No windows, brick walls. I mean, you cannot fall through a brick wall. Eliminate your windows. If I have any Russian oligarchs watching, if you want to live, board up your windows, my friends, because you will fall out of them otherwise. Of course, I'm making fun. Falling out of the window, it is Putin's handwriting, it's FSB handwriting, it's their signature move. For a decade almost, there's no two ways about it. If you fall out of a window in Russia, the FSB eliminated you. That's how it is. Talking about corruption in Russia, it gets even better. But wait, there's more, because let's talk about the corruption of buying dragon's teeth. Yeah, concrete triangles. It's as simple as it gets. Russian authorities are reported to have opened an investigation into possible fraud on a massive scale in the building of border defenses in the Kursk region. It's suspected that much of the 12 billion rubles or $125 million allocated was stolen by officials and contractors. Oh no! Anastasia Kashavarova, damn that name, reports that the Department of Economic Crimes of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, together with other services, are investigating the facts of fraud in the construction of fortifications on the border of Ukraine in the Kursk region. According to my information, not only were all these defense lines not built on time, but the structures themselves, for example, anti-tank dragon's teeth, do not comply with government standards. Let me give you a comparison. There is a Wagner line that Prigozhin built. Prigozhin bought one dragon's tooth for 2,500 rubles or $26. While the military, right now, bought it, according to some sources, 6 times more expensive, $167,000. Where did the, rest 90% of the money go? Well, Russian leaders, procurement officers, commanders, they love German cars. They are crazy about BMW and Mercedes. I kid you not, this could be a funny story, but this is a weird reality in Russia. They hate the West, but they love Western technology. They love Western cars. A huge amount of money is just stolen. 90% usually is stolen. Not usually, sometimes 70, sometimes 80, it's well over 50. And they are buying S-Classes, G-Wagons, BMW 7 Series. They're crazy about them. I kid you not. They buy these $150,000 vehicles for them. And they used to go through Estonia. I mean, I saw them every day. Now they're going through like Kyrgyzstan. And yeah, I mean, you could protect your homeland with dragon's teeth, but you could also buy a new S-Class. Oh, you are very nice. You know what I choose. My friends, now we'll jump to Moldova. Very important. There is the most important 2 elections in Moldova right now. The elections are still going on, but they're in a matter of hours, they will be concluded. By the making of this video, all the information and votes you see on this screen in this video is by the information that I have By the time you watch it, the election is over, you know the results. I'm doing it as much as I know right now, so if the election outcome is different, forgive me. Moldova has 2 elections right now. 1 election, 1 referendum, and they are the most important they have ever held. The presidential election is between Maia Sandu, the European-minded candidate and the current running prime minister of Moldova, and a pro-Russian candidate who would steer Moldova straight into Russia's sphere of influence. The referendum is even more important because it is about joining the European Union into Moldova's constitution. So if the people vote yes to this referendum, then the law will be changed, the constitution will be changed, the country will be irreversibly on the path to the European Union. This is signed by the constitution of the country. If they vote no, if the people vote no, then they will head on the other way to the Russia. So this is like their turning point of that country. And they border Ukraine. They have the Transnistria. It's like very important. And the results are here, my friends. As much as I know them right now, 99% of the votes have been counted. And it's so close. I've never seen so close election in my life. 1% more, things could change. But this is what I know right now. Almost 99% of the votes were counted in Moldova. And this is for the presidential election. First of all, let's go there. 41.98% of the voters voted for European-minded Maia Sandu, and 26.3% voted for Alexander Stoyanoglo, which he's very pro-Russian and will steer the country straight into Russian sphere of influence. A referendum of joining the European Union. 50.08% of citizens voted for Moldova's European integration, which means changing the Moldova's constitution and putting in the pro-European direction of the country. It's like irreversible. And 49.92% voted against it. Now, there is 1% or less, a little bit, the votes more to count. And as you can see, the difference of votes is no for European Union was. The difference of votes is so little. It's so little, and it changes the entire future perspective of the country. It's so important that it's hanging on the thread. So by tomorrow, we all know, by the time the video is out, you will all know what is the future of Moldova. I don't know it yet. Now, my friends, for the Monday's edition of Butchering Buy Me a Coffee monthly members with my Estonian pronunciation, are you ready? Do you have earplugs? Because ear bleeding will be a reality for you. Let's go. These are the foundation of my channel. Jaksan lege, Giku, Tom Ruskton, Hie Buttersnaps. Thank you, these 4 people, for supporting the channel. If you like my channel, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to become a Buy Me a Coffee monthly member. Links are all in the description below. Until my next video, my friends, which will be on Wednesday, be sure to be back. Slava Ukrainian, and bye-bye.